Hey, greetings everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Allen West here, and welcome once again to another one of our Thursday evening Facebook Live opportunities where we share thoughts, perspectives, and insights, and then I get the chance to see some of your comments and respond to your questions. You know, there's some really troubling things that are going on here in Texas, so I may take just a little bit longer with my opening comments and longer than the normal 15 minutes. Because when I think about Texas, I think about Texas history. I think about that incredible definitive statement that was made on October the 3rd of 1835, October the 2nd of 1835, at a little city called Gonzales, a little small town. It was where they said those words, come and take it. Also think about William Barrett Travis, a 26-year-old from South Carolina who was in command of the Alamo. And he drew a line in the sand, they say, and he challenged people to stand on the right side of that line, to stand for liberty, to stand for freedom, even though they know that their lives were probably going to be lost. And so when we look at where we are today in Texas, and that's what I want to focus on tonight, it is time for us to find those come and take it Texans. It's time for us to find those individuals that know the right side of the line in the sand upon which to stand if they do want to make a stand. We all know about the incident with Shelley Luther. We had her on earlier this Tuesday evening, the same Tuesday evening she spent in jail. And we talked to her, and you got a chance to see and hear from this incredible woman. Well, we know today Shelley Luther was released because of a edict, a decree, an order that was sent down from the Texas State Supreme Court. I want to share with you a letter that was written back on Tuesday, May the 5th, because I think that this letter is all about being on the right side of the line in the sand. This letter is all about come and take it, Texans. Today we have seen justice denied to Shelley Luther, a self-employed hairdresser. Desperate to support herself and her family, she was targeted for having the audacity to defy the mandatory closing of her hair salon in Dallas. Shelley initially complied with the Dallas County's order to close for 7 weeks. She then realized that she could safely reopen and comply with the Centers for Disease Control guidelines and those of the salon industry, ensuring a safe experience for employees and customers. She reopened her salon earlier than your orders. That refers to the governor. Incurring a citation and the wrath of Civil District Judge Eric Moya, to whose courtroom her case was assigned. She, Shelley, was denied her constitutional right to appeal, was immediately sentenced to jail along with a $7,000 fine, and deprived of being released on her own recognizance for this petty infraction. Even a two-bit drug dealer is allowed the bail to be set pending appeal. Defiance from Miss Luther speaks volumes, as she refused to grovel in front of Judge Moya as he demanded in exchange for a reduction in this unfair sentence. If this is justice in Texas, we are certainly doomed to our liberties deteriorating on a downward trend. As Republicans, how can we hope to hold Texas under these circumstances? We hereby call upon you, Governor Abbott, to restore justice and fairness to the state of Texas by demanding the immediate release of Ms. Luther. This letter was sent to the Honorable Greg Abbott, Governor of the state of Texas, and also the Honorable Ken Paxton, Attorney General of the state of Texas. This letter came from members of the Republican Party of Texas State Executive Committee. Here in the state of Texas, the State Republican Executive Committee is made of 62 members. There are 31 state Senate districts, and each one has two representatives that form the SREC. Only 22 signed this letter. Here are their names: Jill Glover, who organized the letter; Sue Evenwell, Stephen Broden, Allison Winter, Dion Starnes, Terry Wilson, Tanya Robertson, Roy Morales, Susan Fountain, Robert Keksick, Leslie Thomas, Walter West, Edie Sinclair, Mark Ramsey, Marion Steinko, Randall Dunning, Virgil Cruz, Tom Roller, Marvin Cleed, David Covey, Jerry Fisher, and Warren Norrid. As well, the vice chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, Alma Jackson, signed this letter. There are their names. Here's the letter. 40 individuals decided which side of the line that they would be on. And sadly, to include the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas, while the vice chair, Alma Jackson, knew which side of the line she wanted to be on. If we are going to hold on to Texas, we have to have each and every one of us committed. See, those come and take it moments will come. And we need to be able to decide, are we going to stand for the things that we say that we believe in, or are we going to shirk those duties and responsibilities? As a matter of fact, if you go back to 1775, it was Thomas Paine who wrote in the pamphlet, The Crisis, that these are the times which try men's souls. When the summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from their duties. But to those who will make a stand, they will deserve the love and admiration of all men and women. That's what Texas is looking for. Those come and take it Texans, those people that are going to stand on the right side of the line for liberty and freedom, for justice, for our rights, so that we can pass those on to our subsequent generations. It was a great thing that we saw Shelley Luther make that stand. And think about all of the people that came out. Think about all of the grassroots individuals that showed up. Downtown Dallas, or even last weekend down in Tyler, Texas at the Open Texas rallies. There's going to be another rally this Saturday in downtown Dallas at Dealey Plaza. Let's see who knows which side of the line they are standing on. Let's see the come and take it Texans who will come out and make a stand. Because when you think about what County Judge Clay Jenkins and Judge Eric Moya did in this case, it is heinous. It's despicable. But it's happening in other places in the great state of Texas. Because Shelley Luther was not the first woman to be arrested and put in jail because she just wanted to be able to work and take care of herself, take care of her family. The exact same thing happened down in Laredo, Texas on April the 20th. I wrote about it, but here it is. 2 women allegedly violated the emergency management plan when they offered their beauty cosmetic services from home. Their arrests were initiated for violations imposed by the COVID-19 emergency management plan on a previous Wednesday. Laredo police said they launched investigations on the cases after receiving anonymous tips via the Laredo Police Department app. Both of the violators independently solicited customers via social media, and on both cases, get this, an undercover officer working on the COVID-19 task force enforcement detail made contact with each solicitor to set up an appointment for a cosmetic beauty service that is prohibited under the emergency ordinance, police said in a statement. In one case, Ana Isabel Castro Garcia, 31, was arrested in the 200 block of Harding Street after she agreed to and met with an undercover officer who posed as a customer needing a nail service. Castro Garcia admitted to running a nail salon inside her residence, promoting this on social media, going against the mayoral decree. The mayor of Laredo is Pedro Ignacio Pete Seitz Jr. In the second case, Brenda Stephanie Mata, who is 20, was arrested in the 1100 block of Huebner Street. She allegedly agreed to perform an eyelash service inside her residence for an undercover officer posing as a customer. Castro Garcia and Mata were each charged with violation of an emergency management plan, a Class B misdemeanor, that carries a punishment of up to 180 days in jail, a $2,000 fine for both of them. Laredo police ran a sting operation against 2 young ladies because they were doing nails and eyebrows in their residence, in their home. This is how absurd it is getting in the state of Texas, where we are not just under this illegal martial law, we're not just under this house arrest, we now have people telling us exactly what we can do in our own homes. Thank God the governor came up and made this change and modified his executive order today. It says that he has eliminated confinement as a punishment for violating mandates. Now, I tried to go and look up what was happening with these two young ladies, Miss Castro Garcia and Miss Mata. I couldn't find any update, couldn't find any information. But I'll be down in Laredo, Texas next week, Wednesday and Thursday. I'd love to sit down and maybe have a chat with Mayor Saints Jr. and also their police chief, Claudio Trevino Jr. and ask them why do they think it's so important to dedicate law enforcement resources to run a sting operation on young ladies that are just running a nail service or an eyebrow service in their house. I think Laredo sits right on our border there along the Rio Grande. I believe that they have a little issue with illegal immigration and also drug smuggling. Maybe that's where we should be dedicating our forces, our law enforcement agencies. But that's Laredo, Texas. Let me tell you what just came down in El Paso, Texas. In the city of El Paso, where the mayor is Dee Margo, here is the number that you can dial if you want to call to snitch on someone. It is 915-832-4400. That's the snitch number. They call it COVID-19 report emergency hotline. It's a snitch number. And here is what happens to you. If you're a first-time offender of this edict, all social gatherings occurring outside or inside a single household are prohibited. When the government, when did the mayor of El Paso get the enumerated power to tell any of us what we can do inside our homes? And especially now that the governor modified his executive order. But if you're a first-time offender of this social gatherings occurring inside or outside of a single household being prohibited, $500 fine. Repeat offenders, $1,000 fine, or even jail time. That's El Paso, Texas. Dallas, Laredo, El Paso, progressive socialists in charge of these areas. And I got to ask you something, Mayor Margo. What if the people out in El Paso want to have a Mother's Day celebration in their home? Are you going to go in and give them a fine or maybe have them face jail time because they're celebrating Mother's Day? This is how absurd it's gotten. That they're telling us what we can do in our homes now, using fear, paranoia, and hysteria. That's just the tip of the iceberg. We have got to have those come and take it Texans. We have got to have people that understand which side of the line are you going to stand so that Mayor Margo does not get to hand down these draconian edicts. Let me repeat what the city of El Paso, Mayor Dee Margo, has decreed. All social gatherings occurring outside or inside a single household are prohibited. In Laredo, they run a sting operation because a young lady was doing nails in a home. This is beyond belief. It's unconscionable. But it's not just that happening here in the great state of Texas. Dallas County and also El Paso County. Dallas County this past Tuesday, the same day that Shelley Luger was sentenced to jail 7 days and fined $7,000, the Dallas County Commission, led by, yes, the absolute despot, Clay Jenkins, they voted 4-1. What did they vote on? To allow people to claim that the fear of COVID-19, the fear of catching COVID-19 can be classified as a disability, and therefore they can put that down to, guess what? A mail-in ballot. That is completely against Texas election code. The state attorney general, Ken Paxton, did send a letter to Dallas County telling them that they were violating that state election code. They did it anyway. So here in Dallas County, which already has a little bit of an issue with voter fraud, I know, but here in Dallas County, a person can say that I don't want to catch COVID-19. That's classified as a disability, and I want a mail-in ballot. But also El Paso County is seeking to do the exact same thing. And then also, County Judge Lena Hidalgo of Harris County, another one of these far left progressive socialist elected officials in the state of Texas. They're going to allocate 11 to 12 million dollars of taxpayer funds in Harris County for mail-in ballots. That's how you lose an election. Because we need to have to understand this is a come and take it moment. We need to have to understand which side of the line or you stand. No one can, it's unconscionable once again to believe that this is the type of chicanery, this is the type of nefarious undermining of law that is happening here in Texas. You don't hold Texas, you don't hold the nation. And that's what we see happening. That's the threat. And they're emboldened when we, just send letters or when we have our own elected officials, some of them, who are afraid to make a stand. This would not be happening in a blue state. Any type of, defiance or whatever, any of this coming from a few Republican elected officials, they try to squash it. So why are we afraid to squash it here? Why do we have a disgraced individual still sitting in the position of being the Speaker of the Texas State House, who all of a sudden takes a Republican off the legislative budget board and puts on a far left Democrat? I can't explain it. And guess what? They're so emboldened that, yeah, remember him, Mini Mike, call him Mayor Big Gulp? Michael Bloomberg has already unleashed his millions of dollars here in the state of Texas. Now, there's some people that say, when you talk about these things, you're just regurgitating leftist talking points. Mike Bloomberg only spent $2 million in the state of Virginia in 2019. They flipped the state house and the state senate. Mike Bloomberg is dedicated to spending $8 to $10 million in the state of Texas to help support gun control candidates to win over the Texas State House. And he started this week $250,000 of advertisements. The first one has already hit against Republican member of Congress Dan Crenshaw. And he has his list of who he's going after, many of them up here in North Texas. Texas is on the front line of an ideological battle. And having been on a battlefield, it's very simple. You either get fighting or to dying. There's no place for cowards on a battlefield. Speaking of cowards, has anyone seen Bo Bergdahl recently? We don't need Bo Bergdahls in the state of Texas. We don't need people that will abandon position. We don't need sunshine patriots and summer soldiers who will shirk and shrink away from their duties in Texas. These grassroots people that are out there fighting, going to rallies every single day, they need people that will stand up and hear their voices and join them and lead them. Sadly, there's a failure of that happening in the great state of Texas. And if that failure continues, it could be only a matter of time that the great state of Texas goes the same way as Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, even Virginia. It's not going to happen on my watch, because this orange T, it stands for University of Tennessee, the Tennessee Volunteers. They stood on the right side of the line when a 26-year-old drew it in the sand. I'm going to stand on the right side of that line. Question is, will you? Let's go to your questions. Uh, Antique, let's see, George M. Turner, anti-American. Kenny White, no leftist transplants make the entire republic an HOA, no leftists allowed. Okay. Um, let's see, Kenny White, they are attempting to steal the 2020 election. Yes, they are, and that's one of the things that they're doing. You know, we should shut this whole thing down about using the fear of COVID-19 as a disability to apply and get a mail-in ballot. Very simple. Okay, if that's going to happen, everyone that gets a mail-in ballot that way, you're invalidated because you're not classified under the Texas election. That's not what disability truly is. Going back to when Nancy Pelosi came out and tried to get this whole mail-in ballot thing into the first stimulus package, we know exactly what they're trying to do. Eric Holder, who sits as the chairman of the National Democratic Redistricting Committee, in an article in Time magazine a couple of weeks ago, talked about using the pandemic to change our electoral system forever, meaning mail-in ballots. They're following the Rahm Emanuel maxim of never let a good crisis go to waste. That's why here in the state of Texas, if there's one place that we should say this is over, this is done, we're opening up, it should be here. We should not be succumbing to fear, panic, paranoia, and hysteria in order to give these progressive socialists who maintain control over pretty much so all of the major population centers here in the greater Texas. They have a strategy, they have a plan. We got to fight. Connie Page needs to say that federal elections have rules, no mail-in ballots is how they will seek to win. I agree. Karen Head, come on, Texas. I agree, Karen. Donna Ford Huntley, what happened to Texas? They are known as the most patriotic state in the union. There's still some greaters here. But I will tell you, over the course of time, what we have seen happen is, people that are coming in here, and there are good folks that are moving into Texas from California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, but also people being brought here because of the movement of corporations and businesses and other things from other states, some of those failed economic states. And then also we have a problem in the education system here in Texas, where the University of Texas are a little more like California, Berkeley. We've got to get a message to our young people and let them know that free does not equal freedom. But Texas, we've got to stand. We've got to say, this is who we are. If you want to stand on the other side of that line, fight's on. That's it. Lorene Cusino Perry, amazing. They are arresting people who want to work and support their families, yet they have released a huge number of actual criminals, rapists, murderers, simply because they have the virus. You're absolutely right. Here in Dallas County, we have the district attorney, John Creuzot. And he just came out and said that, any crime, $750 or less, I'm not going to put you in jail. And we know a lot of these bail reform laws out there, we're releasing people. But yet, out in the city of El Paso, Mayor D. Margo, if you have a repeat offender of this, all social gatherings occurring outside or inside a single household are prohibited. That's his edict, his decree. You could possibly face time in jail, $5,000 fine, $500 fine first time. This is unbelievable. Especially it's unbelievable that it's happening in America, but it is happening in Texas. Elections matter. And that's why we've got to start winning these elections at the local level. And we have to start going into these major population centers. And we've got to start knocking these progressive socialists out. I tell you what, Clay Jenkins, come for you. You're not going to be the county judge here in Dallas County come your next election. And those county commissioners who voted to allow the fear of COVID-19 to be declared as a disability, we're not going to get that. Some of y'all are up for re-election this November. We're going to remember. And Judge Eric Moya, I already know who your opponent is. I'm going to be all in for your opponent. Let's see. Linda Raymond. Hello, Mr. West. Love seeing you on these posts from Manchester, New Hampshire. Hey, think about New Hampshire, live free or die. But yet, when you had the invasion, the infiltration of those folks coming up out of Massachusetts, what is happening in New Hampshire? This is how it starts. This is why we got to make a stand here in Texas. Let's see. Diana Giordano Golding. Bob and I, unfortunately, worked to get you elected in Florida. Yeah, Gertrude Walker, I remember her. That was the St. Lucie County Supervisor of Elections. If you want to talk to someone about voter, you can see me. I know how they roll, being from South Florida. Not going to see that happen out here in the great state of Texas. Vicky Rocha, we need help in Michigan, sir. You absolutely do need help in Michigan. When you look at Gretchen Whitmer, I mean, it's just unbelievable. But again, I'll call upon the Michiganders there, the grassroots, to continue to let your voices be heard, to stand up, to not allow people to make decisions for you and your lives as far as your livelihood, to tell you who or what is essential and what is non-essential. We cannot continue to live under this illegal martial law where you're telling people that they cannot have a social gathering inside their own home. If there's ever an overreach, that is an overreach. You know, one of the things that the British did to the colonists is what came with the quartering law, which they told the American colonists that they had to shelter British soldiers in their own homes. That's one of those things led to one of our Bill of Rights, one of those amendments. John Locke talked about life, liberty, and property as the inalienable rights that come to you not from man but from your creator. Thomas Jefferson turned that into life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Small business owners, that's their pursuit of happiness. That's their inalienable right. And as far as I know, there is no law out there that is saying we have to keep our businesses closed. We have to stay in our houses. They don't have the consent of the governed. No legislature has passed a law. If we start to believe that governors and mayors and all of these individuals can become feudal lords and that with the stroke of a pen they can just take away our rights, liberties, and freedoms, we're not living in America. We're not living in Texas anymore. Fight's on. Calvin Huntsinger, thank you so very much, and I will continue to serve in this great nation and this great state. Let's see who we got here. Da, 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 da. Marion Zinsman, absolutely not. Let's see. Look at the date that the CARES Act was introduced, and it proved it's a premeditated political. I tell you, the more people are peeling the onion back on this thing, they're really starting to get concerned. You know, I don't know how many of you all have seen it. There was this little 26-minute trailer video for Plandemic, I think it was called. The female doctor who used to work with Dr. Fauci. Some people told me earlier today that YouTube has taken down that 26-minute video. I want you to think about that. That here we are in the United States of America in the year 2020, and we have people that are deciding what you can watch. It's called fascism. Now, from what I understand, this group Antifa is supposed to be anti-fascist. Is Antifa going to come out and say something against YouTube? I doubt it, because the real fascists in the United States of America, they're the ones that are the progressive socialist left. They're not on the right side of the line. That's why we need Come and Take It Texans. William Petraglia, Texas can't do it alone. Other states have to sign on. United we stand. Absolutely. Mr. Petraglia, you guys take care. And dear friend of mine, you're right. We all have to come together. Benjamin Franklin once said that we must hang together or else we will hang separately. We are these great United States of America. And so when you look at the grassroots, we need to have that grassroots effort that is coordinated all across the United States of America. It needs to be strong in our states. It needs to be coordinated. The last time we saw that was the Tea Party movement back in 2010, a constitutional conservative grassroots movement. And what ended up happening? Well, Barack Obama unleashed the power of the IRS against them. Because he was not going to see that Tea Party movement stay around 2012 for his reelection race. This is an important moment. This is that line in the same moment. It don't come so often, but when it does come, you got to make sure that you're standing on the right side of the line. Mad love from Faroe Islands. Thanks, Rut Marston. I really appreciate that. Uh, Molly Russell, please do not mail in your votes. It is Molly is not about us wanting to win our votes. It's the progressive socialist left. And I'm here to tell you that if we don't squash this in the state of Texas, if we allow that vote that was passed 4-1 by the Dallas County Commission, that they're looking to do out in El Paso County as well, if we allow Lena Hidalgo down in Harris County to spend 11 to 12 million dollars of taxpayer money in Harris County, which is the Houston area, on mail-in ballots, door to door, that's how they steal it away from you. We cannot allow that to happen. Uh, let's see, Jason Navy vet, proudly serve anchors away. Appreciate Marble Falls. Charles Meadows, fake virus. Don't trust government. You've been lied to. I won't say that it is this a fake virus. I think that you do have a virus out there. There's no doubt about it. The SARS-CoV-2, novel coronavirus. There's no doubt that there's a virus out there. But I think the thing that we're starting to understand is that people are not so much dying because of COVID-19, they're dying with COVID-19. And I think it's important that we peel back the statistics. And remember, Dr. Deborah Burke said that they've been very liberal. I like she said they've been very liberal with how they classify this with COVID-19. And I think that there's some concern about some hospitals getting additional taxpayer funding based upon COVID-19 deaths that they are reporting. So I'm concerned about some cooking of the books, some fudging of the numbers, just to make an ideological point. Let's see. Charles Meadows, the Fed is the enemy. Paul Hanuska Jr., more suicides during this, I think, time period. Paul, I will tell you, more suicides in this pandemic than the CV cause. Vote in person with a photo ID in all states. It takes nearly nothing to get a photo ID from the DMV, capital of Virginia here. Tree of Liberty needs mission. But then that's why some of these states are allowing illegals to have driver's licenses. That's photo ID. It's amazing to me that we actually have people like this mayor in El Paso who is basically saying that social gatherings occurring outside and inside a single household prohibited. He's making them illegal. But yet, I'm sure that he agrees with open borders and people being able to come into the United States of America. How is it that we have sanctuary cities and sanctuary states? We refuse to say that people that are coming into the United States of America without our permission, not invited, they're not illegal, but yet a small business owner that wants to open their business, that's an illegal act. Doesn't make sense to me, folks. And if it makes sense to you, hats off to you. If you're one of these people that wants to stay in your house, if you want to buy into the fear, panic, and paranoia, that's fine. That's your right. But don't disparage, denigrate, demean, and attack those that don't want to. Don't go calling the snitch line in El Paso, Texas. And the snitch line, let me remind you, 915-832-4400. How absurd. Now, I could understand Mayor Bill de Blasio telling people to go and snitch on their neighbors and their friends, but in Texas, actually going to tell folks to snitch on other Texans. Mother's Day is coming up. Do you mean to tell me that if a family wants to throw a dinner celebrate Mother's Day with the mother or grandmother in the house, that someone's going to shun them and someone's going to show up their doorstep and write a citation. That's what the city of El Paso Mayor D. Margo has instituted. Even though Governor Abbott has said and modified his executive order eliminating confinement as a punishment for violating mandates. We know that he said you can't fine people about the mask thing. It's amazing what has happened here. Let's see. Appreciate your post and patriotism. Adam Shea Carpenter, Semper Fidelis, thank you very much. And we all have to be always faithful. That's what Semper Fidelis stands for. There are two great, Semper Fidelis for the Marine Corps, Semper Paratus for the Coast Guard. Semper Paratus is always ready. Semper Paratus is also the motto of the 16th Infantry Regiment, the nation's oldest infantry regiment. I'm an honorary member of that regiment because I served with them as an artillery officer during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. We have to find our Semper Fidelis moment. We have to find our Semper Paratus character. We must always be faithful to our fundamental principles and values that established the great state of Texas, which was first its own republic, and the longest running constitutional republic the world has ever known, the United States of America. We must always ready, Semper Paratus, to stand on freedom's ramparts, just those men did at the Alamo when they stood on the right side of the line and they took up their posts. Remember what Thomas Paine said? We don't need summer soldiers. We don't need sunshine patriots. We don't need show ponies. We need people that are going to go out there. They're going to get in the fight because that's what this is. Shirley, could you please try to pull up Plandemic on YouTube and watch, please? I have watched it several times, and I think that someone, William Petraglia, has posted it right over here. And so if you haven't had the opportunity to watch it, please do. Because like I said, earlier today, I got the word that YouTube had pulled it down. Maybe they've restored it because of complaints. But understand, even if they did restore it, the fact that they pulled it down, that tells you about what's happening here in the United States of America. Let's see, take a couple more. Supplying information about what's going on. I think I saw something about churches. Churches need to stand up. Your very first liberty, your very first right, your very first freedom in our Bill of Rights is the freedom of religion and the free exercise thereof. I found it absolutely, I don't know, heinous that in Kentucky, the governor there and the mayor of, I believe, Louisville, were saying that they would take license plates of people that were going to just do a drive-through communion on Easter Day. If there's any place where people should be allowed to go, if there's any place should be deemed essential in the United States of America, it's not the liquor stores, not the marijuana stores, it's not the strip clubs, it's a church. People need hope. They need to strengthen their faith in times like this. But maybe some of you pastors out there remember the old Black Robe Regiment from the Revolutionary War. It's time for some of you pastors to figure out which side of the line you're going to be on. Some of you pastors here in the greater Texas, you better figure it out. Are you a come and take it Texas? Or are you going to be a coward? That's the choice. Pretty binary if you ask me. What do you think New York's death rate? Why do you think New York death rate is so high? Padding the numbers. I think that there's an issue with classifying anyone that died with coronavirus, having tested positive with coronavirus as being a death of COVID-19, regardless of the fact that it could have been, heart failure, it could have been high blood pressure, it could have been obesity, it could have been a number of things, type 2 diabetes. We know that COVID-19 enables those medical conditions. And so I believe in New York, they saw that between 97 and 99% of the people that, quote unquote, died, well, they had an underlying medical condition. And we also know that for whatever reason, they had many seniors that were there in New York, and they put them back into the senior living facilities. And COVID-19 is pretty much so very dangerous for those 65 and above. So I think that that had a lot to do with the numbers that we see coming out of New York. What are your thoughts of the military saying they will not recruit COVID-19 survivors? I think that's ridiculous. That's like saying you want to recruit someone that got over the flu. You know, if you're looking at the numbers, the facts, the statistics, there's a very, very small percentage of people 45 and below who die from COVID-19. 18 and below, I think it's almost zero. And let us not forget, COVID-19 has a 99.6% recovery rate. So if you're going to go out and tell me that you're not going to recruit anyone that has recovered from COVID-19, that's ridiculous to me. Now, I can understand us, flat feet, obesity, type 2 diabetes, blood pressure, you have to make sure your blood pressure is down, eyesight issues, I could not fly airplanes or helicopters, but I was really good at jumping out of them. So that we do have those disqualifiers and discriminators. For the military to say that they're not going to recruit someone that has recovered from COVID-19, I mean, that's silly. That's absurd. Okay, couple more questions. Let's see. Jeff Smith, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Reverend Danny Jones from down in Georgia. Yes, a lot of people have been watching his little 22-minute sermon. Very powerful. That's the kind of pastor that we need. The pastor's going to stand up on principle. The pastor's going to be courageous. We'll take one more. Ali Oni, we need a real partnership for sick people to stay home and healthy people to go to work to keep our economy and culture moving forward. Ali, you're absolutely right, and I think this is a great question to close on. Back some time ago on one of the Facebook lives, when we were first, going into this issue with COVID-19, I said that I hope we did not take a carpet bombing approach. And a lot of people said, what do you mean by that? Well, think about it. When you go out and you do carpet bombing, you can go back and look at some of the old World War II movies or whatever. You got all these bombers lined up in formation, and you got the bombardier, and he looks down through his eyesight target, and guess what they do? They just open the bomb bay doors, bombs all over the place. You will hit the target, but there's going to be a whole lot of other collateral damage all around because that's called saturation. We now have moved to laser guided precision munitions so that we can actually bring a bomb onto that specific target to reduce the amount of collateral damage and collateral effects. We now, as of today, had 3.1 million more Americans make job claims. That has taken us over 30 million Americans unemployed. Here in the state of Texas, we have 2.1 million Texans that are unemployed. We crashed the oil market. Oil for a while was selling at the negative range, which means that the producers had to pay people to take the oil. There's so many collateral effects because we took a very ham-handed approach to this, a carpet bombing approach. When we started to learn more about the real effects and dangers of COVID-19, we should have focused on those most vulnerable demographics in our society and protected them. You know, Mother's Day is coming up. My mother-in-law, my wife Angela's mom, is not too far away from us here in a senior living facility. We haven't been allowed to go and see her for quite some time. They have locked that facility down. You can FaceTime, you can whatever, but you're not going in. That's what we have to do. Protect the most vulnerable. But when you tell a healthy person they can't leave their house, when you tell healthy individuals they have to shut down their business, that's not quarantine, that's tyranny. And when you start to make the decisions as elected officials, who and what is essential in these United States of America, that's called despotism. That's the real lesson that we have to learn from this COVID-19 issue. And we have to become come and take it Texans. We have to understand which side of the line that we're going to stand. The line of courage, the side of courage, I mean, or the side of being a coward, cowering away in fear, panic, paranoia, and hysteria as you watch your liberties and freedoms be taken away from you. Molon Lave, the words of Leonidas as he replied to Xerxes and the Persians at the Battle of Thermopylae in 490 BC when they told the Spartans to lay down their weapons. Molon Lave, those two Greek words translate to come, take. That's what we need, that spirit, once again, here in the great state of Texas. God bless you all. Have a good night. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Bye-bye.